Hello everyone, welcome back to Investigating It. Welcome to Derry for episodes 3 and 4 that I'm dreading to say the name of, Jeannine, because episode 4 has
my
this
God.
ridiculous title,
Yeah,
and
a
I'm not
mouthful.
quite sure. It's a real mouthful. I'm not quite sure why it has this ridiculous title, although there is something about the world of it and the world of Stephen King that likes to be a little bit extra in its
Yeah.
sort of, supernatural, cosmic-y sort of entity horror, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
that's what this title particularly kind of evokes, I think,
Mhm.
of episode 4. But it's very, very interesting. We're getting much deeper into a little bit of the history of the it entity within Derry, the Native American influence of it
Mhm.
all, a little bit of backstory into a certain characters, and a little bit more about Dick Halloran as well. We get some
Yeah.
full shining scenes going on, and
Mhm.
I don't mean shining scenes as in scenes from The Shining. I mean
But
Dick
the actual
Halloran
shine
is
ability. Yeah.
yes, is performing his shining ability to incredibly useful and powerful degrees in this in these particular episodes, or in one episode in particular,
Yeah.
really. But I'm excited to get back into it, though. Are you? I'm sure you are.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I watched this when it was airing, but I still really enjoyed it, so it's kind of fun to revisit it and talk to you about it, who this is all new to. And I'm also just really enjoying I'm reminded that I really enjoyed, this show kind of having the length to be able to delve more into the supernatural aspects of everything,
Yeah,
um, and what that looks like, and get more into the lore of the entity and the kind of rituals that are kind of keeping it at bay. And clearly we know that things don't quite work out because the entity does come back years later.
yeah,
So it's kind of cool to have that perspective of kind of still that anticipation of hoping these characters kind of succeed in what they're trying to do, or learning kind of what was done to try to kind of keep things at bay, while knowing that those efforts don't quite succeed. So it becomes more about the anticipation of how do they fail? How does it go wrong?
yeah,
How do these aspects that are meant to kind of be a safeguard fall apart? So
yeah.
I hope that was kind of your anticipation in seeing kind of them build up the background of the entity and the protective forces that were put in place with the kind of Native American characters and all of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean that is it's a lot of what is interesting about this show that eventually it's all going to go wrong. It's not surprising when it's all
Yeah.
going to go wrong. It's not going to be shocking to you when Pennywise comes out dancing about and, chasing after children. That's just what's going to happen. We
Yeah.
know that's what's going to happen because we've already seen it happen. Yes, in Andy Muschietti's It movies, you know, um, from 2017 or whenever they were.
Yeah.
We know that's happening, and we know that happened 27 years after the events of this show.
Yeah.
So that's the nature of the entity. Yes, the anticipation is leaving us on on the edge of our
Mhm.
seats. I think it's palpable, and because it's slow burning, because it's meditatively paced,
Yeah.
or meditatively paced as a show, it really is like you're yearning for it almost.
Yeah.
When is it coming? When is it finally coming? And you're
Yeah.
slowly getting there. You're slowly getting more and more indications in these episodes. You're getting way more red balloons than we got in the first 2 episodes, for
Mhm.
example. And there's only
Yeah.
like 2 or 3, but we didn't have any. And as soon as
Yeah,
red
now we're
balloons
getting
start to come about,
yeah.
you know what's going to happen.
Yes, we're seeing his eyes, we're seeing little more pieces of him.
Yeah.
So, there
The
I
power
like
is growing.
yes, and so I like that this show kind of took its time building up to kind of seeing Pennywise, and I forgot that it was kind of this slow burn of it that just adds to the kind of this simmering anticipation of, we know it's kind of gonna go bad, but we get this really cool kind of filling in the gaps of the how it goes bad, how things that we heard about, 27 years later came to fruition now. Like what does that look like? So we're getting all
Yeah.
these really kind of fun historical nuggets of the history of what it looks like all that time ago that we kind of heard about in those
Yeah.
films. So I'm loving kind of all of the lore that we were getting in these two episodes in particular.
Yeah. I mean, what it's doing, as good as it's doing anything else, is getting you to realize the power, the pure power of the it
Hmm.
entity as this unstoppable, unknowable being that
Yeah.
just that exists through pure fear, is this feeder, in
Hmm.
of the town of Derry and all its fears and tragedies. But the because we're allowed more time in the show
Hmm.
to observe, to learn about its past, about past incidences,
Hmm.
about how it's always been around, what it means to the local population, because they kind of know about it, but they are kind of supernaturally forced to forget about it if they leave
Yeah.
Derry.
Hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes that's a thing that's brought up with the general
Hmm.
character
But even this
in
like
this first episode.
evil but even this evil ignorance that kind of comes about where, the hatefulness that's kind of simmering in the town just makes them, ignorant to the wrongs that are and the injustices that are happening. They're just kind of, putting a
Yeah,
blind eye to it, because of just the
yeah,
fear and the hate that's simmering because of this entity's presence.
yeah. It is. It's making me feel the presence of the it entity far more
Mhm.
than those movies did. This
Yeah.
isn't just kids running after a clown or a clown running after kids.
Yeah.
That sometimes I think it as a story, as those movies, kind of felt like, yes, okay, there's a little bit of, oh, it's here again, and it's going to feed on us again, and it's this supernatural force that feeds on fear. And yeah, that as a concept is very
Mhm.
interesting, obviously, and that is obviously the central concept of Stephen King's It.
Yeah.
That's the point of it. But whether the book, and yes, I know we've said it in the previous episode, the book is obviously a monster of a book. It's 30
Yeah.
pages or however long the book is.
Mhm.
Whether that does get into full lore backstory of
Mhm.
the entity, I'm admittedly not quite sure. But this show is doing that. And I enjoy that this show is doing that because it's elevating the fear, the power of it. And
Yeah.
that's important, I think, conceptually to the whole idea
Yeah.
of it. It
Mhm. To
needs to feel
show
powerful. It can't
yeah.
just feel like, you know, a clown running after kids. It can't
Yeah.
just be that.
Yeah, because I think the creepiest parts of those films for me were the parts where it was kind of showing its effect on the town when,
Yeah.
uh I can't remember his name, is the one kid's getting bullied and, a car is driving by and he's calling out for their help and the adults just kind of look on and keep driving and we just see the red balloon floating in the back of the car.
Yeah.
Um, just moments like that where we're seeing kind of the town just ignore things, when he's in the library and we just see that librarian kind of creepily staring at him from
Yeah.
behind. and a balloon going by. Just kind of those teases of things. Even in this show, when we're seeing just in the police station, there's a bulletin board with all of these missing kid posters on it.
Yeah.
Just those kinds of little nods to things, just showing, the hatefulness in the town and building that up. I think that's more scary than the stuff that's supposed to kind of be scary,
Yeah.
because it's just showing how
Absolutely.
deep it runs and how long it's been happening. So I like kind of living in this space of like building up to it, as opposed to kind of getting this immediate kind of
Yeah.
scare from it.
You're getting a full sense of it zapping the human spirit from Derry. And
Yeah.
every 27 years, that zapping of the human spirit happens to spike. But it's perpetual, it's always there, and it's always going to be there. It is absolutely ingrained within the town and the people within the town, generation after generation after generation. It just happens to be that in these 27-year periods, that dehumanization of the humans of Derry spikes. And yes, that is what we're sitting in now. And yes, I like that we're able to explore that much more. I'm actually getting that sense. And I think that's why I'm kind of understanding why people like it as a story now. Because, yeah, okay, those movies, fine. Yeah, the Tim Curry miniseries, fine. Sure, the book itself, although I've not read the book, fine, good, yeah, good horror storytelling as those, visual pieces of media are, the TV miniseries and the movies.
In the movies,
But I'm not quite getting the depth of it. People telling me, kind of, it is an absolute masterpiece of horror, unbelievable. I mean, it's so deeply layered, and I'm there watching those, going, is it that layered? Is it really that layered? Is it not? Is it just like 3 layers? After this, after watching half of this show now, I'm getting more of that. I'm getting the actual layer of it. I'm getting how deep it all runs, and I needed that, I think, to really get myself on board, because I like this story, I like this idea, I like this concept. Sure, I like it as a horror creation, but you know what I'm like sometimes when people tell me something is a masterpiece or something is world beating as a piece of
you're like,
media,
really?
and I'm not seeing it, and if I'm not seeing it, I'm not even going to register your opinion as a valid opinion. And I know that's harsh, and I know I shouldn't do that, and I know everybody's opinion is valid, obviously, in my sane mind. But if I can't see it, I'm literally, I know myself, I'm literally just going to be like, I don't get it. I don't get what you're talking about. I mean, try and persuade
I don't know
me,
what you're
but I'm
talking
not going to
about.
change my mind. So you're not going to persuade me that you're right. If I'm not going to persuade you that you're right. And I'm not like, I don't mean to start arguments or anything like that. I'm not saying I do start arguments, but I know my own mind. And I'm thankful that this show is taking me away from being like that with it. I'm seeing it now. So I like it. Funnily enough, the 3rd episode, as I put the title thing on, is called Now You See It. And yes, it, welcome to Derry. Now I do see it. Very nice to be back.
Perfectly
on
titled.
Investigating. Perfectly titled, but very nice to be back on Investigating It. Welcome to Derry. I think before we get into this first episode 3 proper, I should talk about the elephant in the room. If you're watching today's episode of Investigating It, Welcome to Derry, you will notice that I'm in a different location. This is my house. I have a house now, and it's this one. So totally new setup, totally new podcast space, totally new podcast room. The pictures aren't even up properly yet.
But they're still there. Their presence is known. Yes. Yeah.
They're still there. The room is a good room for doing this sort of stuff. It's been purpose built. So I'm excited.
It's looking good so far. Yeah, very
And
exciting.
if you are, of course, just listening to Investigating It, welcome to Derry. You can't see yet that anyway, but just know that that has happened, and it is very exciting.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you very much. But yes, episode 3. Now you see it. Jeannine, do you have a little synopsis for
I
us?
do. So, episode 3. General Shaw pushes ahead with his mission, ordering Leroy and Polly to escort Dick Halloran on an aerial search for a new dig site. Rose attends a tribal meeting. Ronnie, Lily, Will, and Rich attempt to get visual proof by conjuring an Orixa.
Yes. So the kids thing's interesting in this episode, to be fair. The photography
Yeah,
aspect of it
trying to
all.
get
Because
proof. Yeah.
you know what some photographs in some horror movies can do, especially in It.
Yeah,
Pennywise
because
loves coming in
it's
the back
part
of
of
a
his
photograph, doesn't he?
yes, it's part of his ability to be able to kind of control any visual, manifestations of himself, so we kind of
Yeah.
got that in the slideshow that they were watching and him being able to kind of
Yes.
take that over. So at the end of this, we get really excited that our kids have actually captured images of the things that they saw. But then, of
Yeah.
course, going into the next episode, that's not really the case. Pennywise has been able to.
Well, it is the case. It's just been manipulated by It.
Yes,
You
it.
know.
But one image is left untouched that does have something very
Yes.
interesting in it, a clown. So, yeah,
Yes.
while I think this whole scene kind of looked very CGI, kind of crazy and heavy. It was a very kind of exciting scene of these kids kind of passing this camera along and trying to capture these images and the ghostly forms chasing after them.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, it's like what can you do at this time to try to prove your point? Like anybody could have a cell phone now with a camera and all of that, but back
Yeah.
then you really kind of have to get creative. And even the fact that the girls like they have to kind of bring in the boys because they don't know how to use a camera or develop film and all of that.
Mm.
So I love that that's how they're able to kind of get the group together on this whole situation. Is that aspect. So we are now kind of building our new group of kids since we immediately lost our first one. But I really liking the dynamic of them trying to figure this out and that everyone's on board with everything. And this little mission that they kind of give themselves. So I think everything was really operating really well here. So we got some good kid stuff. We got some good stuff like the Native American backstory, and we got
Yeah.
some military stuff as well. So, and then continuing, of course, the story of Hank and all of that stuff as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, we got
I must say though, I was expecting a little bit more of Lily in Juniper Hill Asylum.
yeah, they
It
brushed
seemed like
over that
such
pretty
a big
quickly.
deal. But it seemed like
Yeah,
such a big deal at the end of episode 2 that she was going back there. So I thought, okay, maybe like a couple of episodes is going to be her in there dealing with the
yeah.
traumas of being in there then. But no, 10 minutes in, we're out again.
Yeah,
And
we
it's
cut
fine.
to that she's been there for however long, and we're cutting to now her release. And she's gotten really close with like the head of the housekeeping staff. So this is where we meet Madeline Stowe's character.
Yes.
And she really has, shown Lily some kindness. It's someone who says she can talk to,
You're
who she's
wondering if
shared.
you're wondering if it's a little bit maybe sinister though. And I don't like
Yeah,
to think that, but
y-
somebody within Derry, I mean, is Juniper Hill in Derry? Is it outside of? I
a
don't
little bit
think it's
outside of it,
quite
maybe.
a little bit outside of
Yeah,
Derry, but you don't want to trust anyone being too nice, do you?
yeah, because like even that can come off as suspicious. So, like how are you feeling about her? Are you very suspicious? Is there anything in her that makes you kind of want to trust her and trust
I
her
mean,
her friendship and kind of support of Lily?
there is, but that just comes from I like, you know, I believe people should trust people kind of
Yeah.
angle rather than a sense of what the show's doing. No, I wouldn't
Yeah.
trust anybody in and around the town of Derry at all in this show. Anybody being too nice, if I know something somewhat about the it entity, the supernatural powers of, manifesting in this town, I'm not going to trust anybody because I'm just going to think somebody being too nice, somebody being permanently nice, like never with a bad thing to say, when everybody else is either an outsider,
Yeah.
like Charlotte, for example, is the key
Mhm.
outsider of the whole show,
Yeah.
seemingly, who just can't fit in at all with the vibe of the rest of the town.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, it's either somebody who's been bogged down by the town for generations, like most of them, Charlotte, or Madeline Stowe. And I'm just thinking Madeline Stowe is a puppet of Pennywise here. I'm thinking
Ooh.
he's got his little marionette tricks going off because he likes the circus, doesn't he? So
Okay.
he's just being a bit of a puppet master and going, I'm actually like Madeline Stowe's really my like right hand here. And this
Oh,
is why I've put her in this
okay.
asylum to
Position,
feed on
yeah.
the trauma of the asylum and the scariness and fear of the asylum. Everybody's a bit damaged in there. What does it
Okay.
like? Damaged people really
Yeah.
goes after broken people. So I know that's a horrible phrase, but that's the kind of nature of this.
Yeah, yeah.
So the entity's going to like that. So why don't I use Madeline Stowe as a feeder to kind of just manipulate situations, make people want to make really, really broken people want to stay a bit longer there because she's being nice to them and they feel at home there, so they feel like they're going to be there. But it's still a horrible place where horrible things happen and people are
Yeah,
going to suffer there. And I as it have inherent, maybe easier access
yeah.
cosmically to Juniper Hill than I do to anywhere else because of the fear spiritualistic
Mhm.
things
That's
within
living
there.
there. Yeah.
So I've got more of an easier access point to just
A
go, yes,
foothold.
thank you,
Yeah.
fuel for me, fuel for me, fuel for me, fuel for me, lots of fuel for me. That's kind of where I'm sitting there
Oh,
in
okay.
terms of what the show's giving me. But in
Okay.
terms of me being me, I would love to trust Madeline Stowe. She's lovely as a character. She's very, very
Okay.
nice.
Yes.
If it was a real place, yes, I wouldn't be thinking a supernatural entity was
Yes, but as
feeding through
somebody
an asylum.
who knows what's going on, then yeah, you're like, "Hell no,
You
don't
know?
trust anybody." Okay, I like where your head's at. Um, but yeah, an interesting kind of thing to set up that friendship with her because we kind of bring her back later because they want an adult who's been around to kind of tell them if they know anything, seen anything about the missing
Yeah.
kids or any kind of history that relates to what's happening to them now. And so they go to her and she, says she knows about like missing kids, but no one ever really thought anything of it, which,
Yeah.
tracks. So yeah, so she's gonna be an interesting ally, I think they set up for
Okay.
Lily here. So
Okay.
yeah, I like where your head's at in thinking about this character. But yeah, I think the kid stuff was solid in terms of uh bringing our group kind of officially together and getting everybody on board with kind of what's going on. Because I think at this point, the
Sure.
boys were not super, believing the supernatural stuff, and now they've seen it as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we needed to get our
Yeah.
kids on board with
I
everything.
mean, Um, what Will is very
Mhm. Yeah,
scientific minded, isn't he?
yeah,
So how much of the supernatural is he naturally going to believe? Probably not all that much, because he's just going to put it down to some sort of mm,
scientific thing.
physics, scientific
Yeah,
manifestation, or a physics thing, or whatever it may
mhm,
be. Um, but seeing completely unexplainable things that he ends up seeing, obviously, is going to get him fully on board. And if you get him fully on board, there's a certain man without fear, not Daredevil, that can also get fully on board. And that's who everybody really needs to get fully on board.
Yeah. Yes, which is interesting that, we see, Will and his dad have that moment where his dad is kind of forced to believe the supernatural stuff,
Yeah.
when that comes about in the next episode. But yeah, and Rich just kind of being along for the ride as well. So yeah, I liked the kid stuff that we got here, and really exciting to see them actually kind of get pictures of them, and then going into the next episode thinking, "Oh my gosh, okay, they got proof," but womp
Yeah.
womp. Um, yeah, but we got a
Womp
lot
womp.
of yeah. We do get this really interesting flashback to, I believe, 1908, which is the same year
Yeah.
as the, like, Easter egg fireworks kind of situation, ironworks, explosion or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's
How
gonna
funny
be
that
what
it's Easter weekend, when
Yeah.
this or like it's like Easter Monday when this show comes out. So,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
convenient, isn't it?
When there's
That
kind
there's
of
an
this little tie
Easter
to
thing.
that plot point. Yeah, so season 3 will be kind of centered around that ironworks Easter explosion situation.
Oh,
But
yes.
yeah, we see a young boy at this carnival. He's walking around, all these little allusions to balloons and clowns. We see
Mm,
like a girl dressed as a clown with makeup kind of very similar to the lines drawn on Pennywise's face.
yeah.
Um, so just all
It's
these
all
kind
very
of interesting
sinister, isn't it?
things. Yeah.
I feel like I was back in the Elephant Man again,
Right?
weird
Yes. And he
circuses and
gets
freak shows and things like that.
yes. So he gets a little step right up moment where he gets called into this creepy tent with all these oddities. He sees these creepy twins, and a lot of it is like, is this what he's really seeing, or is it, it's kind of fear making things more
Yeah,
scary
it
than
is
they really are?
it is a bit hallucinatory, I must say.
Yes.
It
Yes.
the twins, they're not like been interesting if they'd have thrown the Shining twins in there, wouldn't it? Just as a little sort of let's put more
Yeah.
Stephen King things
I
in
mean,
there. I mean, we're
yeah, because
dealing
I
with
mean,
The
even
Shining enough anyway. We might as well just
exactly.
whack an
Well, I
image of them
mean,
in.
yeah, well, I mean, even when we get to, Dick and his whole illusion that he kind of is getting into, we see his grandmother in that image of stuff that he sees, and
Yeah,
in The Shining, he told us that his grandmother and him would have these long conversations, and
yeah,
that she's the one who called it The Shine. So, in that film is where he notes grandmother and the name The Shine, and then we actually get to see her in this episode. So
yeah.
yeah, so we are getting some Shining stuff. So yeah, there could have been some fun allusions to the Grady twins for sure. But we do get a little cameo from Andy Muschietti as the piano player in this creepy
Oh, yes.
tent situation. And one of the things that ultimately ends up scaring this kid is this really skinny, thin man guy,
Mm.
which ends up kind of
Skeleton.
being yes, ends up being this kind of scary image for him later on. So he leaves this kind of freak show tent and runs into his father, who's looking very uh Teddy Roosevelt kind of coded.
Very Teddy Roosevelt. Very 1908. Very 1900s, isn't he?
Yes, yes, with the tiny little glasses and all that, little mustache and
Yes.
mustache. It's not called a mustache in 1908. It's called a
A
mustache. Uh,
moustache. A moustache.
mustache. And he's won him why am I a slingshot? I'm like,
Slingshot.
what is it? I'm like, what
Yes.
is this thing called? I totally forget it.
A
So there's
stick with a rubber band on. I mean,
with a rubber
it's a
band
very
on it. Yeah.
crudely made slingshot.
Yes, which I think played a lot more into the book than in the movie. Like that's what they ultimately
Okay.
use. I think it's used on the miniseries and in the book. I think that's the thing they ultimately use to kill um Pennywise as opposed to the kind of bolt gun that they use in the
Yeah, I
movie.
see.
Um, so him and his dad leave the fair, they're driving home, their car breaks down. So he sends his son to go get some water for the car. And that's when he meets this young Native American girl on their kind of reservation, and he
Yes.
trades the slingshot for some water. And then this starts kind of a friendship between the two of them. And then we get these flashes throughout the episode of them playing together throughout the summertime and having the best time. And there's kind of this maybe little inkling of like this little childhood romance between the two of them.
Yeah, a little bit,
But we also,
definitely.
yeah, and we also get a moment where he wanders into the woods and he sees the image of the skeleton man kind of chasing
Yeah.
after him, and
Now,
being manifested
c
in the creepy kind of way that these movies tend to do with long-armed, gangly, crazy-looking,
yeah,
droopy-faced things. So,
and
yeah.
the thing is that this is the thing that's lacking about the show. Conceptually wonderful, I think thematically
Yeah.
wonderful, really, really well crafted and put together, but
Mhm.
it's sort of horror sequences, as they were. It's intense action horror sequences,
Yeah.
as it were, are letting it down a little bit.
Yeah.
They're far they're quite dull, to be honest with you. For being what they
Yeah.
are, they're very generic, very samey. They don't look great visually. I
No.
don't think they
Yeah.
this is an HBO show, right?
Mhm.
HBO doesn't do bad effects. We know what HBO can do with effects. We've all seen Game of Thrones
Yeah.
and House of the Dragon and Night of the Seventh
Yeah.
Kingdom. We've all seen that. I mean, for God's sake, at this point, a lot of people have seen the damn Harry Potter trailer, you know, and whatever we
Yeah.
think about that, the visual of it looks pretty good, right? Like it
Yeah.
looks pretty stellar.
Yeah, but even, like,
This
some of these
doesn't. This
creepy
looks like any random $40 million,
CGI
Blumhouse
monster.
movie CGI. That's what it looks
Yes,
like.
and it's like the kind of creepy effects on these monsters you could be doing with practical effects and maybe
Of
enhancing with
course you could.
CGI
I mean, this is what I'm
and
dreading
really
about when
yeah.
Skarsgård actually shows up himself as Pennywise, because when he's
What
just
is that gonna
there
look
as the
like?
clown doing the smile and doing the
Yeah,
little head tilts and all that, great, perfect. But when he's going to
yeah.
be, I know full well it's going to happen, and he's going to start running around and opening his mouth very wide and being all shaky and jittery and all that, and it's not going to look very good because it happened in the movies.
Yeah, yeah. So those things kind of take the scare out of it because they just look weird and very CGI heavy and stuff like that. So that's kind of a letdown. I think they really could have used some practical stuff and some CGI to blend the two to make these things feel more real and tangible, thus making them more scary. But yeah, so we do get him seeing this kind of creepy skeleton man running out of the woods, and now we learn that that little boy is our kind of head military
General,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah, the
James Remar.
general, James Remar's character, as a little boy. And the little Native American girl is Rose, the one who runs the secondhand shop.
Yes.
Um, and we learn kind of her connection to all of this. Um, and when he kind of starts digging into things, like one of the things they find when they're looking for stuff and artifacts is that slingshot. And he's
Mm,
kind of starts remembering things, and he's remembering the dig sites and like where's that located, and things are starting to come back to him. And then he realizes, "Oh, I left Derry. I forgot that I was this little boy." And
yeah.
like even in one of the flashbacks when they're sitting together in the summer as kids, he kind of asks her, "Please don't ever forget me. Don't ever, forget our
Yeah.
time together." But he left and completely forgot. And he even says that when he sees her again, he's like, "I kind of forgot all about it until I walked right back into this shop." And so
Yeah.
then it becomes a conflict because they had this kind of past together, and he's kind of the responsible for encroaching on and then digging on their, sacred lands and sites and things.
Yeah.
And that's
And
dangerous
it's
for them
always
because
something
what
like
they
that.
have buried there are pieces of things that keep it
Yeah.
trapped.
And it's
So that's
all
why they're trying to
spiritual.
prevent it. So I like that it's like something that plays as like, we don't want you digging on our native lands, but it's also, we don't want you digging on our native lands because you will disrupt something that's we have in place to protect everybody,
Yeah.
kind of
I mean,
thing.
it's a good way of the best way that a story like this can bring this sort of stuff in, but it's a great
Yeah,
way of implementing a sort of real world thematic element to
yeah.
this story. Like, don't dig up Native American burial sites.
Yeah,
I mean, how long has this been a bit of a
a
trope of
horror
a
thing.
certain genre of horror?
Yeah, I
You know,
mean,
you
wasn't
don't
it
dig up Native
Poltergeist?
American. Yes,
Wasn't
Poltergeist was
the whole
all very that, wasn't it?
yeah.
But don't dig up Native American burial sites. Why don't we dig up Native American burial sites? Because they might have a curse. And yes, okay, there's a certain exoticism, a certain negative
Yeah,
exoticism to thinking
yeah,
everything about Native Americans is a curse. And I don't know why it would
tribalism,
be.
yeah,
I don't know why it
yeah,
would be an exoticism, given obviously that Native Americans are called Native
native.
Americans for a reason.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why be an exoticism towards you European settlers? But there you
Yes,
go.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
this happens in the show. This is a part of The Shining as well, though, isn't it? Because the
Mhm.
Overlook's built on Native
Oh,
American
yeah, mhm. Yeah,
ground, and that's why that's very spiritual and it's full of
yeah.
ghostliness. And
Yeah,
because
and then
we've
that
because
nod
we've
to those.
we've because we've stamped our authority
Mhm,
over it and not realized, disrespected in some way, whether it's not realizing or realizing. I suppose
mhm.
in The Shining they kind of do realize because they know the history. We get that scene with the hotel owner, don't we? It's like, oh
Yeah.
yes, well, we are on Native American burial ground, so you wouldn't know that if you didn't know it. So
Yeah,
you've just
yeah.
actively just disrespected it by building a capitalist environment on
Exactly.
there anyway. So
Yes.
obviously, spiritually, there's going to be some issues there. And that's exactly the kind of thing that we've got going on here. Because
Yeah.
we've decided to essentially infiltrate and invade on Native American space. The spirits of that, whether it's the spirits of, I'm not saying it, and the it entity is obviously not a Native American spirit,
No.
it's an alien being, but thematically it's that same thing, is don't invade that other person's space that who was there before you, or
Mhm.
bad things will happen. And it's that same kind of things. It's punishing invaders, and it's
Yeah.
thematically it's doing that. And I
Yeah,
like
so it
that
works
it's
within
bringing a lot of that in to
real
this
world kind of
show.
sensibility, that kind of horror
Yeah.
depiction of it, and then kind of the it story into it as well.
Yeah.
And there were kind of allusions to that Native American aspect because I think in The Shining, in the pantry, you see all those cans of like, what did it, like cornstarch or whatever,
Yes,
that
yes, yes,
has
yes,
the Native
yes.
American kind of logo on it.
Yeah.
And we see those same cans in the grocery store when Lily sees her pickled dad. So um
Yeah.
yeah, so that definitely kind of was a present thing here, so I like that we're getting more of their story and how they connect to it, because that was a part of the whole ritual of Chud and all that kind of thing that we saw in chapter
Mm,
2, and all of that, so
yeah.
I like that they're kind of building upon that, and I think it's a little bit different than, what Stephen King had in the book, but, since, he gets final say on everything, I'm sure he, was able to kind of
He
approve
doesn't
of.
these days.
Yeah. Um, he was probably able to kind of approve of this kind of grounding because I think what he had in his book was very overcomplicated for a TV show or a kind of
Yeah.
visual narrative. So, I think there are liberties in kind of grounding it in something that makes more sense. So I liked kind
Yeah.
of building upon all of that. So now it's like the tribal peoples discussion that they have in meetings, like, do we and I think even James Remar kind of proposes to them, like, if they help and tell them where they can dig and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a decision for them. Do we tell them not to dig at all, or do we at least help
Yeah.
them and tell them
That's
where they
where
can and cannot dig? Yeah.
Yeah, that's where Dick's shining comes into play, because he
E
shines to essentially find the information on where is on the most opportune place to
Yeah, so they
dig
get,
next.
Rose's nephew, to come
Yeah,
in and use him, to have Dick kind of go into his mind to see, like, where to dig, and I think, that ends up kind of being more in the next episode. But
yeah,
here, um we do this aerial mission to see, what Dick can get from this slingshot that they've dug up, and see where it connects to, any of the dig sites. So we see kind of how the shine works in this episode in depth. So we see him have
I
all
mean,
these kind
it's,
of crazy
it's the
images.
same, isn't it? It's images, it's
Yeah,
seizures, it's frothing at the
yeah.
mouth. It's the same as we're used to in The Shining. Really?
Yeah, so we're seeing, like, this circus van, we're seeing these, like, Mardi Gras images, and then we land in this place where all of these kind of toys and things are falling on him,
Mm,
and then we look up and we see kind of the whole dead light kind of tunnel with all the kids kind of floating up there.
yeah,
And we see some glowing eyes watching him, seeing him, which is very scary to Dick because he's supposed to be able to go in and kind of poke around and see, but they're not supposed to see him. But whatever is
yeah,
in there is seeing him. And as he's kind of looking up at all these kind of kids floating up there, entity kind of floats down, and it's his grandmother, um,
mm.
trying to warn him. So I like that kind of shining connection, as I mentioned. And
What
then
what we're actually saying here is the it entity is able to shine, and
yeah,
this
yes.
could be interesting.
Yes, kind of is able to kind of recognize somebody in a shine, and so that's very scary for
Yeah,
Dick because, like, that's not how it's supposed to work, at least from how he
yeah,
understands it. So he's trying to get out of there now, but he's in this plane. So as he's thinks he's trying to get out of it in this space that he's in, this shining space he's actually like trying to like jump out of the plane essentially. And
yeah,
so everybody has to kind of try to stop him from doing that and break him free of it. So they're able to kind of witness, like, this is what this looks like when he's in
yeah,
these things. This is why they're keeping him on. This is why he has special privileges. Like, there's
yeah,
something strange going on here, which I love because now in the next episode, now Leroy can see, like, well, I saw this crazy kind of thing with Dick, and now, like, he's more going to
yeah,
be able and open to believe his son when his son starts kind of seeing some crazy
yeah.
things. So, yeah,
He's going to
yeah.
understand a little bit more, not be as closed off, obviously. And as an action sequence, that one was good because it
Mhm.
didn't have any unnecessary, silly
Kind of,
monsteriness going on.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
these are the best parts of this show. The horror comes in when we have the human horror of it all,
yeah.
not necessarily the
Yeah, because
running
getting
around like a
Dick's
silly
fear
monster.
yeah, getting Dick's fear of something happening while he's in there that he is not expecting to happen, that he doesn't even know it was a possibility. That is more scary than the CGI
Yeah,
skeleton man in the woods, so
much more so. But no, I like getting it all. It really, you know, improved my thoughts and feelings towards the it
yeah,
story as a whole, I think.
yes,
Even just
yeah.
this first episode, and yes, I know we've alluded to some things that do happen in the second one. Now, if we want to get into the second one now, I can put the next
Crazy
title
title.
card.
I mean, was,
Oh,
like, the Charlotte crusading stuff, did that start in this episode, or is that more in
I
the
I
second
think that's
episode?
more in this
In the
second
second,
episode,
okay,
to be honest
okay.
with you. So I think we can open this by talking about that, which is very, very relevant to what's going on. But look at this for a title. Episode 4, the great swirling apparatus of our planet's
The planet's
function. I
function.
mean, what does it
Yeah.
mean?
Yes, and I think that title is longer than any kind of synopsis I could find. So, it's a very brief synopsis here for this episode.
Oh dear.
Um, but, the kids face increasingly terrifying experiences. Charlotte tries to help Hank, and General Shaw intensifies his efforts.
I mean, yeah, that is what happens. I suppose there
Yeah.
is a fairly terrifying kids based scene again, a Lily based scene again. I kind of like the Lily stuff that's going on in this second episode with Margie.
Margie, yeah, no, she kind of is getting
It's
in the mix of things. Yes. So if you wanna kind of
a
talk
bit
about that
nasty.
first. Yeah,
We
so
could talk about
Lily's
that
back.
first, or we could talk about Charlotte if you want. I mean, we can probably talk about the Lily and Margie stuff a little bit quicker because it's essentially just an added bit of scariness for the kids that results in another bit of a silly looking CG horror scene.
Well, yeah, where Lily ends up looking crazy by the end of it.
And Lily ends up
Um,
looking crazy, which is the effective part.
yes, and which is kind of what the entity is looking to do, and also to
Definitely.
kind of to prey on Margie's guilt and having that implicate Lily in the end of it. So we see them in
Yeah.
class and they're watching this kind of study on these like weird bugs that their eyes kind of bug out crazy, like these snails or whatever, these slugs or something. And then we see kind of the mean girl, like, nod to Margie, like, "Hey, like, do the thing." So then
Yeah.
Margie talks to Lily and says, "Hey, like, feels really bad about what happened between us. Let's have lunch today. I'm really sorry." And so Lily's really excited, like, "Sure, we can have lunch. Like, I'd be happy to kind of, reconcile with you." And then as soon as Lily turns around, mean girl nods to Margie like, "Ha ha ha, yes, our plan is in motion." So they're eating lunch together, and then this cute boy comes up and says hi to Lily. And Margie tells her, "Oh, yeah, like, he really likes you. You should go to the bathroom and freshen up." So now we know it's going to be kind of a Carrie situation where the mean girl plans to
Yes.
make Lily think this boy likes her and embarrass her in some form. So
It's almost
Margie
as
goes to
though they're
the
putting all major Stephen King works into this
yeah, and
show
into
in one
this
degree
yeah,
or another.
exactly.
I mean, I'm
So
expecting someone to break someone's ankles in the next
soon enough,
episode
yeah,
on a metal
right?
block in a bed,
Yeah,
you know, in the
exactly.
snow.
A writer, yeah, where's our writer?
A writer.
Um, yeah. So, Margie goes to the bathroom to help Lily freshen up, and Lily, like, goes into the stall, and Margie and is starting like, Lily is, like, in the bathroom, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe he likes me," all this stuff, and as she's, like, all elated, Margie's starting to feel more and more guilty to the point
Mm.
where she's, like, about to confess, like, what she did, but as she's about to confess, something's hurting her eyes. And then we start to see her eyes bug out of her head like those slugs that they were looking at in class. And we get this
Yes, and it
crazy
doesn't
scene
look
where
very good.
no, it doesn't look great.
No, it did
But her
look
eyes
rough.
are like googly popping out of her head. So she goes to shop class because, from her perspective, she can't see what it looks like. So maybe it just feels like something is like attacking her eyes and she needs to get it
Yeah,
off, not
but
that it's actually
she,
coming
she
out of her eyes.
she's got a bit of an itch near her eye. She's got a bit, just a bit of an itch
Yeah,
just in the corner of her eyes
exactly.
that she just can't, just needs to keep going, needs to keep
Yeah, so she
scratching it, needs
yeah,
to just
right. So
scratch it a bit
just
more, and then
yeah,
scratch it a bit
with a wood
more
chisel.
with a wood
Yeah,
chisel, and then with a power saw.
exactly. So she tries to, like, chisel it off, and it's not coming off, so then she puts her eyes through the wood cutter and, like,
I mean,
slices them off, and in runs Lily, like, to see, like, Margie attacking herself. She gets on top of her, tries to stop her because she tries to pick up um the wood pick again and like dig at her eyes,
yeah,
and Lily stops her, grabs it. There's blood everywhere, and then in walks all the students and stuff, as Lily's on
Yes.
top of her, like, holding her down, holding the weapon. So now
Yes,
Lily
while
looks
Margie's
crazy again.
screaming with no
Yeah.
eyes left.
Yes. So, this is partly kind of a it illusion. So her eyes weren't really doing that, but like her attacking her face and messing with
Yeah.
her face is kind of what
No,
caused the actual blood
well,
to
no, I
be
think I
there.
think
So
that's perfectly clear. Her eyes
yeah,
weren't really bugging out, but she did
yeah.
end up blinding herself. She does not have any eye, from what I understand. Realistically,
well,
Margie has no
well, we will
eyes.
see her. Well,
Does
we will
Margie
see
not
her
have
in
any
the
eyes left?
no, she does have her eyes left. She will have,
Oh,
I
she
think,
does have her
one.
eyes left.
Yes, so I think she will see her in the next episode. She'll have one bandaged for quite a while. So I don't know if she completely blinded her
Hmm.
self, but yeah, we will see her rocking a piratey look for a little bit. Um,
I would have
but
fully expected her to be totally blind, to
that's what,
literally,
yeah,
like,
yes,
with the I know obviously the eyes were supernaturally bugging out. It
yeah,
wasn't actually that case, but I had
but
thought that in
without that amount of
attempting
blood
to
that we're
well,
seeing,
the amount of
yeah,
blood, but in attempting to scratch the itch that she was attempting
yeah,
to scratch, she would
yeah,
have blinded herself
herself,
entirely
yeah.
and or removed her eyeballs in some way or something.
Yeah. So I don't kind of remember the extent of the damage, but we do see her with an eye patch situation,
Okay.
with a one eye situation. So I don't know that her eye completely
Did it
came
not
out,
wanna go as
or if she
hard as it could have? Or did it
I
not
think
wanna have the
I think
poor
so.
actress playing Marge have to deal with literally not being able to see
Able to
when
see the
she's
whole
giving
yeah.
any more performances in this show?
In the show. Yes. So, I mean, she is now kind of in on supernatural happenings, so we'll see where that
Oh,
goes.
yeah,
So, that's all I'll say about Margie.
'cause she
Um,
knows.
yes.
But
And
where's
who's
Lily gonna end up? Back at
who
the
will
asylum?
right. But who's going to have to explain to her like what is actually going on?
Yeah, true.
So yes. So I don't she thinks she's completely blinded, but a pretty kind of freaky situation to pull her into the mix in a really kind of scary way of it to get to the kids once more and not even kind of directly through them, now through people around them, which I think is just
Yeah, I
even
mean,
more scary for them, as
uh,
opposed
uh,
to kind of a direct attack that they could be at least somewhat prepared for. Because I think, she got those drugs to
yeah,
kind of help ease them and make them less scared, and of course, in the moment when she needs one, she drops it in the toilet, so,
yeah. I
uh,
mean, a great manifestation of the guilt, but
yeah,
just again, I mean, we're doing this sort of CG because we kind of have to at this point, aren't we?
yeah.
I don't genuinely think they can look at it and go, "Oh yeah, that looks great." Like it really doesn't look great.
No, it
That the
looks kinda
idea of it
silly.
is great. The idea of it
Yeah!
is
The
wonderful.
concept, the
The concept of it
context.
is wonderful.
Mhm. Yeah, but it just yeah, it looks a little silly. So, yeah, I guess it's like a bit of give and take. So you just kinda have to be like, "This is what it means in context," and I think that's cool, so I'll just hold on
Yeah,
to that in the storytelling. So yeah.
yeah,
Also with the kids, they do try to show the pictures to the police chief, and
mm,
somehow all of the images they got have changed. It's just pictures of fuzzy gravestones and statues and things. And so then they get to the picture with the clown, and he just thinks it's a statue and doesn't believe them and thinks that it's nonsense. So now cut to Will having these pictures in his drawer, and his mom finds them and she's asking him what's going on with this. So he tells her kind of as much as he can tell her, without
yeah.
making her like not understand what he's
Panic.
talking about. Yeah, so he tells her,
She's
Ronnie
she's
asked
a
for my
panicker.
help. Yeah. Ronnie asked for my help to find this thing, and I tried to help her, and somebody ended up kind of chasing after us. And
I
she's like,
love this,
"Okay,
by
well."
the way, as well. I love this. Ronnie asked for my help in doing this, and basically her immediate reaction is, Ooh, who's Ronnie?
Ronnie, yeah, exactly. But we did even get a little moment when they were in the cemetery where he put his hand on her. So,
Oh, yeah, sure.
you
I
know,
mean, I'm not saying the "Oh, who's Ronnie" is unfounded. I think it's very founded,
yeah.
but it's such a mother response to be like, "Ooh,
Right, to immediately
Ronnie,
kind of just
nudge,
forget,
nudge,
like,
nudge. Who's this? A
yeah, forget the
girlfriend?"
interrogation to go for, like, "Ooh, girlfriend," and then I like the conversation her and Leroy have about it. They're like, "Oh, she's telling Leroy, oh, he likes this girl," and then
Yeah.
just very disappointingly, but, like, understandably, they have to kind of question, "Is this girl white?" You know?
Yes, they
And
do. They do make a
yes.
point of doing it.
Yes, which is kind of funnily enough because what we learn about Hank is the fact that he yeah, he doesn't have an alibi for that very reason. So we will get there, but yeah, I
Well,
like
well,
this
well,
moment between
we can explain that a little bit stronger, I think, there, Jeannine. I think we can explain that a
okay.
little bit stronger with with Hank there. Like Hank
Yes.
is still in
So
prison, jail at this point, not prison, jail. He's
yes.
in the police, being
Yeah,
held,
and
and
so
people still think he
it's
was
part of
the reason of
yeah.
doing all the the
Yeah.
cinema, movie theater killings and all this
The
business.
killings of the children. Yeah, and Will starts to kind of explain that, like, that's why Ronnie needs my help because her dad's in jail and we need to try to get proof to exonerate him, and so that's what gets Charlotte kind of on board with wanting to help him. So when she questions him and asks him about his alibi, because she ends up going down to the jail, trying to talk to him, but police won't let her talk to him, so she, makes a big grandstand. She gets permission from Hank's mother who
Yeah,
allows her to go see him. She kind of talks to who she needs to get to see him and talk to him. And he
she is a
refuses to tell her.
grandstander.
Oh
She
yeah,
Charlotte
100%.
is a real
Yeah.
grandstander.
Oh
You
yeah,
gotta
she's
give
bringing
credit
up,
to her.
bringing up RFK and JFK and MLK and like
As
um
long as it's not
to
this today's RFK, I think we're all right. If it was like then
yeah.
RFK, I think
Yeah.
we were all right,
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Um, and making this big grandstand to see him. And so when she's talking to him, she's realizing, that his alibi is not quite right. Like he said he was at home in
No.
bed, but no one's buying that. The police have found
He
evidence
was
that he's not
he was
he's not
at
there. Somebody
a
so,
home in
yes.
a bed.
Yes, with a married white woman. So that's why
Yeah.
he cannot say where he was. So that's why he had to lie about his alibi. And so his punishment might be just as bad, if not worse in this society if he tells the truth. So he can't really exonerate himself. So just kind of
Well,
that
no, I
parallel
mean,
of them asking the question of themselves, is the girl our son likes a black girl or a white girl?
yeah.
And
It,
having that parallel to what Hank is doing. So
yeah, which obviously is a very relevant and appropriate question to ask, particularly obviously in
mhm.
1963, I think we're
Yeah.
in, are we, or 62. Now, they do make a point, I seem to remember, of saying, or somebody makes a point of saying that, Derry's not the deep south. We're not in Georgia
Mm,
here.
yeah.
We are in, the north as north of the US goes,
Yeah.
Maine.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
is it going to be thought of as bad at this point as it would have in the Carolinas, Georgia, Arkansas, somewhere like Alabama, somewhere like that? Probably not, but obviously it's still an issue at the
Well, yeah, I mean,
time.
we get
Obviously, it's
yeah,
still a
because I mean
pervading issue.
yeah, I mean, we're getting these little glimpses of discrimination. I mean, we see where kind of Ronnie
We
lives in
are,
comparison to other people. We're seeing, um, uh like how when all the black soldiers were in that bar and now it's like become a
yeah.
thing like not to let them go there anymore. Now they have to find their kind of own hangout spot, which is a part of this episode as well. So we're seeing like
This is what,
glimmers of
yeah.
racial things
I
happening,
think
but
this
we're
is
also kind of getting like what you said of like, Charlotte being on edge because of where she comes from, having to drive there super slow so they don't get caught up.
Yeah.
Leroy giving her all these warnings to not be kind of acting up in her advocacy like she was where they were from. But even when
Yeah.
she questions the chief, um, and he makes a comment like, I think she questions like, did you let him see a public defender? Have you let him talk to a
Yeah.
lawyer? And he kind of is quick to jump on her and say, this isn't like where you come from. Of course, we followed the letter of the law and we let him talk to a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then she speaks to, oh, I'm sorry, it's just kind of a knee-jerk reaction because where I come from, they would do everything they could to not, be fair
Yeah.
in the justice system of a black man in jail. They wouldn't give him a public defender or anything like that.
Yeah.
So they speak to like the differences there and how things run when it comes to black people and all of that kind of stuff. But they're still, because of just this, evil that's running through the town, it's still
Yeah.
simmering in
It's
there
still there.
and felt. Yeah.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. It's as though there's elements within the town, certain people within the town that want to progressively change with the times, but
Yeah.
they're being pushed back by it, essentially, because it
Yeah.
permeates on making things worse. So
Yeah.
that kind of is there. It's just it's an interesting line to toe, I think, for the world that we're in with this show. To have these questions, to make Hank question whether it's better for people to think him a child murderer, or for him to think, or for people to think him having an affair with a married white woman. Like, what's
Yeah.
worse? That's a wild
How is
thing
that?
for
Yeah.
us to
And then,
think now.
exactly.
It's a
To compare
wild
those
thing for us
two.
to
Yeah.
compare,
Yeah.
but it makes it feel somewhat valid.
Yeah.
Even in Derry, that is, by a few accounts that you get, trying to not think the same way as the
It's not have
Georgias and
this
the Alabamas and the
segregated
Mississippis of
and
the
kind
world.
of, exactly. So it's a really interesting thing to kind of think about, that's grounded in kind of some reality with all of this crazy supernatural stuff going on, which I liked. So all of this Charlotte stuff and trying to help Hank and her advocacy and her telling him you need to file this type of paperwork and all of these things, really just grounding some reality simmered into all of the wild kind of fantastical stuff happening. So I liked kind of getting a bit of that to balance things out. But Will, he can't really tell his mom everything, but he tells her that, I was
Yeah.
trying to help this girl and we saw some things come after us. And she says, okay, no more going out at night. We'll keep this between you and me. We won't tell your father. So he ends up going fishing with his dad. And when his dad goes to the car for something, something pulls him under the water, and it's this creepy version of his dad when he was burnt up from his big plane crash that he was in. And
Yeah.
he's, and we're getting a little bit of nod to it and the poem, I think it was like
Yes.
January Embers,
Yes.
yeah, and I was thinking of that, but then also it's like instead of you'll float too, it's like you'll burn too kind of thing. So
Yes.
all this,
There's a bit of
burning.
I was wondering if, like, this show's equivalent of You'll Float Too will be You'll Burn Too.
It would
We
burn
haven't
too.
got
Yes, and
two sort of situations.
so he's pulling him under. It's this burnt up version of his dad telling him that, freaking him out. He's calling for his dad. He comes and he sees his son in distress, pulls him out, and he has to tell him, like, I saw something. It was you. It was you when you were burnt up, and he was yelling at me. And then he sees like Will's wrists all bloodied.
Yeah.
And so now now that he kind of has seen this supernatural kind of takeover of Dick, and they invite Dick over for dinner that night. So they have a talk about it. So Dick kind of tells him what it feels like and what he sees and how it works, essentially. So Leroy having this context and now seeing this with his son, he can kind of maybe try to believe it to a degree.
Yeah.
And so he's much more kind of careful with Will, in kind of believing him or wanting to protect him. So he gets him a telescope.
This is what I said before. This is what I said before. Is Leroy is the most important person to believe the supernatural
Yeah,
for the betterment of Derry. Now, it obviously we
yeah,
know obviously it doesn't necessarily work. It may push it back for the time being by the end of this series,
yeah,
and I'm sure something like that will likely happen. We'll all
yeah.
fight against it. Leroy will be the man without fear and end up being the one in charge of fighting against it. And I'm sure that's exactly what's going to happen, but it's not going to be defeated, is it?
No, because we know that
Um,
for sure. Yeah,
and why it may not be fully defeated? Maybe because at this point I'm purely speculating, but maybe because Leroy never fully embraces the belief. Because
yeah.
for
I mean,
some such reason, maybe he is just there acting because out of duty, because he knows he is the one who has to do this because of his particular unique, you know,
ability.
kind of
Yeah, and then we see
ability, I
him
suppose.
later in life as a surly farmer.
Yeah.
So, he's
He's
seemingly
probably
kind of
annoyed
forgot.
at himself for not believing because he's now seen it again.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, it's all about kind of like how do we get there? But he now is like smack dab in the middle of the supernatural happenings and uncovering what they're really doing there and what his purpose is and all of that. So I like that at least he's in a position to more believe his son when crazy things have
Yeah.
happened and will continue to happen.
Oh, I'm
But he
sure.
does end up getting Will a telescope, and so that kind of maybe cheers him up for a little bit after kind of the scary things that have happened. But we do see him like in the middle of the night go and look through the telescope, and he sees a creepy clown behind a tree, and we just
Yay.
see kind of a creepy like low stare and like a silhouette and glowing eyes, and it freaks Will out, and he's in the corner, and his dad comes in, and yeah, everybody's kind of freaked out by it. So, and he blames it on Charlotte and thinking, not thinking of it as a clown, but thinking, oh, now there's people like watching us and coming after us because you're trying to
Yes.
help this man who killed some kids or was accused of killing some kids. So
Yeah.
you're gonna make things more difficult for us. So don't quite like that he's, not supporting her in her advocacy.
No, no, not
Um,
at all. But it's also maybe this is Leroy's leftover from
yeah,
where they came from attitude. This
exactly. And
is
also,
where we know what people were doing then. If people were watching a black family's house at that time in
yeah,
Georgia, then it was going to be a bit different. It was going to be
exactly. Yeah.
very, very scary.
Yeah, so
Um,
there's a lot
so
of ways to
obviously he's
kind of
gonna think
read
that, and
what's going
obviously he's
on.
gonna think
Yeah,
like that something like that may be happening again because she's being
yeah,
too outspoken. I
yeah,
understand that. Yes, I don't
yeah.
like that it's not entirely
More.
supportive of
Yeah,
Charlotte, but
but
I
it's
understand where it comes from.
yeah, yeah. So it's very kind of complicated now what this family is witnessing. He has things going on that, are confidential. He can't say anything. So even if he kind of does really want to kind of talk to Will about it, he can't.
No.
Charlotte, knows there's some weird things, but she's not in a position to believe any kind of the supernatural stuff. So it's starting to kind of trickle into this family, and they're starting to kind of have the effects of what's going on, which is just an interesting thing as well.
Mm.
So, yeah,
Lots going on.
yeah, yes. Then we have Dick now meeting with Rose's nephew,
Yes.
and they task him to go into his head to get some answers about where things are hidden, on where to dig and things like that. So he's able to go into his head, and he goes into this door where he's a little boy and he's playing with some toys. And his aunt comes in and talks to him and asks him about, hey, do you remember that story I told you? And so we end up going through this whole kind of history of these 13 pieces and the ritual that
Yeah.
they kind of created to trap this thing, and they're like just right where their lands are, just right outside of the bounds of Derry and where the thing can get to them. Um
Yeah, it's almost
and
told like a myth of some kind, isn't it?
yes, yes, and how all of them were kind of starting to see scary images of things that scared them, and then ultimately learned the power of this thing that also kind of crash landed there as well in this like mineral
Yeah.
or whatever. And so yeah, we get the whole kind of history of how they came upon it, how they learned what it does and what the entity is essentially, and how this thing can potentially protect everybody from it. And how they kind of have tasked their tribe to keep it, as protectors, and how
Mm.
that came to be. So all of this information is being now passed to Dick and thus the military. So it'll be kind of interesting in how they use this information, and what they're going to use it for, and how it's going to potentially lead to why we're seeing it in the 80s
Yeah.
and the late to 2010s because
But I mean, look at the American military having to, you know, play nice with Native Americans. That sounds very rarely
yeah,
happen,
some
does it?
sus stuff happening
The
there.
last time that
So
happened, Kevin Costner was riding buffaloes,
yeah, yeah.
you know?
So
That was the
yeah,
only other
it's
time that's ever
that
happened.
was happening. Yeah. So yeah, we're getting like a good little history lesson on everything, but we're also kind of now like, uh-oh, the military has information on what the native people are doing and have been doing, and
Yeah.
how is that going to affect one another. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's an interesting questions to ask ourselves before
yeah.
the next couple of episodes, Janine. And I finally think we're going to actually get Pennywise in, are we not? Is he actually going to
Um,
show up?
I mean, well, we're what, 4 episodes away from just being done with this season, so,
Exactly.
um,
We're only 2 episodes left of investigating it. Welcome to Derry. It is only a 4-episode show. You know,
yes.
our show here.
Um, yeah, so yes, it should be coming up fairly soon. But we'll
It's
also
about time. I just don't want him to spoil himself by being
yeah.
over
Well,
fast.
we'll get some
Because
we'll get
that's
some
the problem. I've realised that's the problem. It's things in horror being quick. Things in horror being quick is the problem. The only time it's ever good is in the 28 days later, years later, whatever business.
mhm.
You know, with
Yeah,
the infected, because they're obviously very quick. That's the
yeah,
only time anything can be quick. If it's some sort of zombie thing,
yeah.
and but not CG mounds of World War Z zombies. Not that. We don't want
Just rolling
that.
all over each
We
other.
want
Yeah.
28 days, years level of fast things.
Fair.
But when you're supernatural, God, please be slow. Please be slow, is what I'm saying. Did you hear?
Okay.
I wonder if you heard the audio difference when I tilted my head back and spoke to the Lord above himself to ask him that. Please
Yes.
be slow in your supernatural horror. Stephen King's
Okay.
great when he's slow. Salem's Lot is really slow, and it's so much better for it.
Yeah.
And that's
Take some time.
supernatural. That's about
Yeah.
vampires,
Yes. Well, we'll see if you
right?
get any jittery Pennywise movements, um,
But you
as we
don't get
near his
Nosferatu
introduction.
Junior in Salem at the end of Salem's Lot being all jittery, do you? No,
And
you
no.
just get him stood there because that's good enough to have the
Yes.
effect.
He's building the mood. So, I mean, we'll see if you like what Pennywise is doing. when he finally appears. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying it so far. I hope you're enjoying kind of getting
I am.
more lore and history and kind of building this world and seeing the how we failed as opposed to kind of like do
Yeah.
we succeed kind of format
Yeah.
of these
There's no
shows.
do we succeed about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, because we're gonna get that time and again, aren't we? As we go through 3 seasons of this show, you're gonna get,
Mhm.
"Ooh, how did we fail in 1962? Ooh, how did we fail in the late 30s or the mid-30s? Ooh, how did
Yeah.
we fail in 1908?"
Or like
Well,
what
1925
happened.
it's gonna be,
Yeah.
isn't it? So
Yes.
oh,
What
what happened?
happened before the next hibernation? Yeah.
Yeah,
Before the
interesting.
next
Very.
27-year hibernation. Yeah.
I also
Alright.
realized that obviously the vampire from Salem's Lot is not called Nosferatu Jr., but I have forgotten his name, and he looks like
Yeah, but
Nosferatu.
he looks like, yes. He's very much
He's just
evoking.
blue. He's just
Yeah.
blue Nosferatu.
Blue.
James Mason. James Mason's with him. He's not James Mason.
Yeah.
They're not the same thing. James Mason's with him. And I forget which one of Starsky and Hutch David Soul is, and he's there as well. He's the
Oh,
one
yeah, he
fighting.
is,
Which
he is.
one is he? He's
He's
starts. Which one is he? He's Hutch. Of course he is. I don't know why.
Yes,
Starsky with
because
the cardigan.
Starsky
Is that right?
is Paul Michael Glaser.
Yes.
Yeah, director of my all-time
With his,
favorite movie.
with his lovely cardigans that he wears.
With this fancy
Totally
sweater.
look like
Yes, I'm like I've been scouring every season of your birthday or Christmas. I scour for that sweater, but I can't find a decent version of it
dear.
anywhere. 'Cause I'm like, he
I was
loves
just.
that sweater.
People would think I was doing a bad cosplay. People probably think I'm doing a bad cosplay.
I don't know. I
I
mean,
don't know.
it lines up very well with other cardigans you own, so I don't think it would be out of place. But
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. Anyway, that is irrelevant to investigating it. Welcome to Derry. This has been another great
it is very
episode
much
of
so.
this show here on It's a Wonderful Podcast. Do subscribe and ding your notification bell on the It's a Wonderful Podcast
Yes.
YouTube channel if you are watching today's episode. Of course, things have been scrolling down at the bottom of the screen also. But if you are just listening to today's episode, hello to you as well. Obviously, you're equally
Hello.
as important and valued, and we love you too. You can subscribe wherever you are listening on all major podcast platforms. Leave your comments on Spotify, rate and review, and like and share everywhere else, of course, as well. If you would like to support us on Patreon or donate in any way, you can find links to do that in the description of today's episode. This show at the moment alternates with diving into Doctor Who on a Monday. We have Morgan Hasn't Seen every Wednesday. We're talking directorial debuts over there at the moment for April, and on the main show every Friday, celebrating old movies as we love to do best here on It's a Wonderful Podcast. We have a Greta Garbo series going on at the moment over there. Exciting times, as always, on It's a Wonderful Podcast. You can also, obviously, just find us on across all the social medias as well, on the app formerly known as Twitter, and on Blue Sky at It's a Wonderful One. Find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at the Purple Dawn with the 3 instead of the E in there, because, Jeannine,
3 is a magic number.
On Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at the Purple Dawn, and all your investigatory shining is where.
You can find me at Jeannine __ on Twitter, Jeannine on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. And if you want to get any merch for any of our shows, just check the description for the link or search G9 Design on tpublic.com.
And of course, if you want to get me a housewarming present, you can send that to. I'm not going to tell you my address. That would be silly. You can't be putting that sort of stuff out on the internet. Don't be ridiculous. But there is only one thing left to do, Jeannine, and please, of course, as is only appropriate in, again, your finest Dick Halloran impression. Whether it's whichever version you would like. And we had a good one last time on this show.
I
Count us
mean,
out.
I am getting over a cold, so I could probably do a
Ah.
better scat man than
Yes, definitely.
3, 2, 1.
Bye. I don't think that was Scatman. I don't know what that was.
No, that was not good at all. I have no idea.